Hello and welcome to Tech Talk, where the banker sits down with some of the best and brightest fintech startups in the industry. I'm Liz Lumley of The Banker, and today I'm speaking to Krik Gunning, founder and CEO of Fourthline. Hello, Krik, how are you?
I'm doing very well, and you?
Excellent. So I'm going to ask you the question that I ask all fintech startups, which is, what is Fourthline, and what problem are you solving?
So Fourthline is an Amsterdam headquartered fintech. We're a regulated financial institution under supervision of the Dutch Central Bank, and we leverage technology to fight financial crime. And we do that at a large scale, verifying the identities of millions of customers for partners like Flatex de Giro, Trade Republic, but also fast-getting fintechs like N26, Vivid Money, traditional financial institutions, and partners like Solaris Banking. We do that across all of Europe, but headquartered out of Amsterdam, the Netherlands.
Excellent, really interesting. So I wanted to move on to talk a little bit about fraud. So you've done research that found that sort of 47% of detected financial fraud attempts in Europe involve what's called social engineering and manipulation. So I really wanted to know, how do humans get hacked?
Yeah, and I think maybe it's worthwhile taking a step back to explain what we actually see happening in the overall industry. So Fourthline leverages technology to look at over 210 data points for each individual sign-up. And it allows us to detect patterns on a cross-border and cross-partner level. It means that we can find interesting patterns whenever something is off. So just to give you an example, we had someone signing up with a UK passport, claiming to live in France, using a German mobile phone for the sign-up, whereas the geolocation popped up in Yekaterinburg in Russia. So that's a typical example of where the data points on an individual case do not match. We also look for patterns over time. So we had someone signing up with a Brazilian passport in Dublin. There was nothing wrong with that case, apart from the fact that the week thereafter, 60 more Brazilians claimed to live on that exact same physical address in Dublin. So then in that case, we reject the 60 signups, but also go back to the initial signup. And I think what we've seen happening during the pandemic is two trends. One is very well known. People start doing more business online, including more financial services online. But what we also saw is that fraudsters were trying to find new ways to trick the system. And that means that we've seen them go as far as applying deepfakes, hyper-realistic silicon masks, and all in an attempt to circumvent the checks we perform on, for example, the ID documents. And because in recent years, those checks have become so strong, they also find ways to force people to do a legit sign-up with a legit ID document, but then the credentials of the account that was just opened are subsequently handed over to criminals. And that is what we call social engineering. And we've seen during the pandemic that particularly young people looking for a quick way to make money, as well as elderly, oftentimes unaware that they're opening an account for a criminal, have fallen victim to that kind of social engineering.
Now that's really fascinating. I know that fraud levels are up during the pandemic as well. So a lot of people have been talking about this issue. But I wanted to sort of finalize our conversation with a bit of a personal question. So I love knowing what books people read. So I'm going to put you on a desert island and give you one book and one book only. So what would that be?
I've recently handed out the autobiography of Phil Knight of Nike to a lot of our team members. And the reason for that is that in the final chapter, after describing how he built this phenomenally successful company, he reflects as a very wealthy man on that path. And he asked himself the question, what would he want most in life? And his honest answer is to do the journey all over again. And I think it's a reminder that don't look at the end goal, but make sure you enjoy the journey as you're hyperscaling a company.
Interesting. And see, I'm going to have to take that book out because you're not the first founder to mention the Nike book. So it seems like one to watch for all our entrepreneurs out there. Thank you very much for speaking with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.